In this video, I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily create your own personal website for free. To do this, we're going to host it on Gitlab.com. I'm going to head over to Gitlab.com and I'm going to create a brand new project. When I create a new project, I'm going to click this option that says Create from Template. Now, Gitlab has a series of web pages that they'll host for you, and they call them Gitlab pages. So what I'm doing is creating a brand new template project, which is a Gitlab pages project. There's a handful of different templates down here: Pages Gatsby, Pages Hugo. I'm going to pick one of these that I'm familiar with, which is Pages Hugo, but you could also use something like Pages Plain HTML if you would just want to have a plain HTML page. I'm going to go ahead and use Hugo, which is a static website generating tool. I'll show you what that means in a minute. Go ahead and click Use Template. I'm going to call this Personal Website Example. Notice here that the project slug is personal-website-example. Note that we're going to use that a little bit later. I'm going to go ahead and create the project. Notice how by default, if I look at the contents of the website, by going under repository files, there's a few different things that I have here. I have a configuration file here called gitlab-ci.yml. This tells GitLab how to actually publish the page to the internet. I also have a couple of readmes, some config files, and then I have a few folders here: content, static, and themes. Content, static, and themes, these are all things relative to this content management system, or the static website generation system called Hugo, which you can read about more in detail on your own. I'm going to show you just how the basics of how to get up and running with it. Now, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to clone this repo onto my computer. I use a program called Fork. I'm going to go to File, Clone. You can use any Git software that you'd like to do this. I'm going to go ahead and clone this right to my desktop so I can easily find it. Under Content, under index.md, I'm going to open this up just inside of a plain text editor. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code, but you can use whatever text editor you want. Hugo uses a specific type of language, which is a markdown language, which means that we don't really need to be concerned with the actual HTML or anything else along those lines. What we really need to be more concerned about is just the content that we want on the pages. And then there's some special functionality for doing embedded links or images or things along those lines. This here is a big, bold header on the page that says front page content. I'm going to modify this so it says David Carrick's website. I'll also modify this here, this text. Then I'm going to go ahead and save this file. I will go back to Fork, and just like I'm making changes to any version control repo, I'm going ahead and stage these changes and then commit them. Finally, I will push them to my repo. As a last step, you can check to see if GitLab is actually uploading a new version of your website by hovering over the CI/CD portion and clicking on Pipelines. You should see here that GitLab is in the middle of processing, uploading your website. If you click this running button and scroll down, you can see that it successfully compiled my pages and deployed them. So your next question is, well, where can I actually find this website? Well, simple. It's your GitLab username .gitlab.io/ the name of the project. Here is my freely hosted website. I can now go in and modify the files inside of those content folders to modify the headers here, the titles. I can modify these drop downs. I can modify the content out of these pages. It supports a handful of features using the Markdown language that allow you to embed code snippets. This website will even support WebGL versions of your Unity projects. So as you're developing something in Unity, you could export it. You could drop it into a page here inside of your version control repo, go back to your Git client, commit it, push it, and then just a few moments later, you'd see it published on the internet. One file that I do need to modify here is this config.toml. I'm going to go ahead and open this up just inside of any text editor that I might have on my computer. You'll notice here that there's a whole bunch of configuration details about this. Everything along the lines of your links to social media websites, as well as what options you want in your main menu of your page. One thing that I'm going to want to do here is I'm going to want to go ahead and update all of the content, or all of the settings here in this config.toml file to match my personal website. So here, the base URL, I would use dcarg.gitlab.io/personal-website-example. I would leave these the same, the title, I could update all these social media links, and the ones that I don't want to use, I can simply comment out just by putting a pound sign in the very beginning of the line. Finally, down here, I can modify what I want across the main menu on the top of my page. The blog, samples, including which dropdowns are within them. I can modify which pages show up there by editing these items. Everywhere where this main menu shows up, I can specify that I want it to be across that top bar. The weight will specify the order in which it shows up and across that top bar. For doing a menu like samples, what you do is you associate a name with it, just like this example here, and then under that you would specify some variable number of other pages that should be included as part of the samples, which you specify by saying, I want the parent of this page to be samples, which relates it back up to this main menu. Typically, you only modify this once or twice while you're developing your website. So that's it. That's the really simple way to create your own homepage, something that you can show off, that you can add content to, someplace where you can feature all of your projects, especially if they're WebGL content, you can put them right here.